Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick dropping in. I hope everybody's having a great week to this point. I wish I could be coming to you on a higher note. This would normally be time reserved for motivation, inspiration, instruction that I normally share during this time of the day. However, there's a push with me to talk about something that is pressing, something I have been immensely passionate about for more than 2 decades. I have been talking about the crisis associated with mental health in the Black community. And it is not isolated to Black men. We have definitely seen some disturbing numbers when it comes to our women, especially young girls aged 5 to 13, who literally lead that age category in successful suicides. And so we have a problem. Where we are really truly in crisis is dealing with mental health, suicidality, and violence that is associated with mental illness in the Black community among our young Black males. Specifically, we have a 49% spike in suicides among Black males between the age of 14 and 24. That's a 49% increase over the last decade. That's absolutely terrifying if you understand what that means. We also have a situation where Black women are 6 times more likely to die via homicide, murder, and a significant portion of that is intimate partner homicide, meaning they are literally killed by the ones they should be able to depend upon to protect them. And a great deal of this is directly linked to a failure to properly socialize young Black males, but equally be able to address mental illness in an effective way. And that's a problem. We talked about this on our last segment of Brothers Unfiltered, which was on last Thursday. And once again, thanks to the Sunrise Project for allowing us to borrow their platform for that closed session among Black men. It is so desperately needed, and we invite all Black men to attend every third Thursday of each month. But we talked about suicide and how close it is. I have over the last few years been 2 degrees separated, 2 degrees of separation at the most of people who are losing their lives to suicide. Same with intimate partner violence and intimate partner homicide. We have a real issue, and we're not looking at it. I went to bed last night with the news that uh, the boxing great Roy Jones lost his son DeAndre to suicide. I'm not sure how old this young man is, but he can't be no more than in his 30s at the most. And it's a sad situation. Not too long ago, I reported on Sprint great Leroy Burrell losing his son, Cameron, to suicide. We talked about Regina King losing her son to suicide. And the reason I bring up these notable names is because it seems that the only time that we even get to have this discussion is when someone of notable notoriety uh, happens to become a victim to it, or happens to know, or someone that has a name that's out there gets noticed. Well, this is happening on a regular basis. Not even what, maybe 3 months ago, I had two friends that I know that also know each other, which is frightening. Again, that 2 degrees of separation. I know I had two friends I know. One lost their godson, the other lost their nephew the same day within 3 hours. Two different cities. They did the nephew and the godson didn't know each other. The people knew each other. My friends knew each other, but they didn't. And this is consistent. It's coming, and it's this press that we aren't dealing with. I've been talking about the need to socialize young Black males. I've been talking about the need to resource mental health uh, intervention to be able to deal with certain statutes. The thing is, it is extremely hard to help an adult male struggling with mental health issues because of their right not to actually be treated. And I get it. And it's hard to get someone committed against their will. The burden of proof is astronomical. And then we have the issue with the socioeconomic issue of not being able to afford the proper resources within the community as a whole. I have Black clients, but most of my clients are affluent. I've done a lot of work in the community that obviously I didn't charge for, that still cost to execute. The problem is that we aren't looking at it. And this isn't just simply a money issue. This is an awareness issue. This is a situation where for so long, what did we say, especially my generation growing up? Black people don't kill themselves. Well, we can't say that anymore. Our young girls are ages 5 to 13. Now, they normally have they actually in some studies have them separated from 5 to 10 and from 10 to 13. But ages 5 to 13, our babies lead in that statistical category as at least as of 2022. We have a spike in Black male suicide, teenagers, 14 up to young adults at 24. And still is significant up into the 30s. And there was a story we had that took place on Thursday's meeting where a young man lost his brother-in-law who was in his 40s. And we think that getting everything we want in this world and achieving everything that we want in this world and being at the height of what we think is success will have us at a space where we're good and we find out that we're not. Um, I have those conversations a lot. I've been there. I've been probably at the time when people would have considered me most successful in my life. I was most miserable. And I know what that feeling feels like. And just the thought of what I felt like then, and to know that young Black men are going through that and probably not having the resources to confront it is frightening to me because I love my people. Um, to the average person, this is going to blow over in a couple of days. The shock of hearing the names, the shock of hearing the horror of this young man literally going on social media and cryptically chronicling the killing of his mother, the killing of his his ex-girlfriend, which is the children of his mother, and then threatening to drive from, I think it's Brindleton or something like that, Florida, to Atlanta to kill his current wife and their kids before taking his life. And I'm not sure how it played out because it was still playing out as of yesterday, and everybody was trying to find him. And these things are going on. He's threatening to kill um, one of his cousins who was friends with the mother of his children that he killed. And it's going to be easy for us to talk about the monster that he is. It's going to be easy for us to talk about how horrible of an act it was. What we won't do is move beyond the emotion of what we are experiencing and the disgust of what we are experiencing to ask a basic question that has to be asked, and that is, why is it happening? Why is there a 49% spike? We are not properly preparing our young men. We're not giving them the resources. This is not to make any excuse for the horrible situation and what took place. He's responsible for it. And it was wrong. And there's no excuse, but you still have to confront the causality. The easy thing to do is sit up and go, oh my God, on a post, shaking my head on a comment, and then move on with your life until it hits home. And I'm telling you, I'm dealing with this far too often. You can remember a time when you didn't know anybody that committed suicide. And Eliminate Lexus, I want to put this up because this is acknowledging the part that I haven't covered yet. And we have a problem. And the way to deal with this problem is to confront it head on. And I've been talking about this for years. I have been putting it out there. I have been letting you know. I predicted the spike. I told you it was going to happen. There are correlations, not just with what I've explained in socioeconomic disparities and racial disparities, but also in the massive expanse and rapid expanse of the internet and social media and the role it plays. We don't look at things like that. Everything is a toy to us. Everything is a convenience to us. Everything is, we don't look at how chemical changes take place in the brain when we just simply pick up a phone. We get a dopamine rush. We don't know what that means, but we just know it makes us feel good. It gives us a sense of, we pick up the phone. It didn't beep, it didn't ring, it didn't anything. We don't need to contact anybody on it. We'll just pick it up and look at it because we don't realize that feeling that we're getting when we're doing is coming from a dopamine rush. The problem is dopamine is a neuroreceptor. That neuroreceptor is a fast, rapid firing neuroreceptor that tends to damage. I mean, it's a neurotransmitter, excuse me, and it tends to damage neuroreceptors. And so what neuroreceptors do is they tend to what? Shut down receptors. So the amount of receptors that's receiving the transmission is less. So they're saving receptors, but that means that you have to increase the usage. So we dive in even more trying to get that same feeling that we get. This is how addiction happens. And eventually you destroy the receptors. And so you're trying to recover a feeling that you can never recover, whether you're gambling, whether you're having sex, whether you're picking up a phone, whether you're doing, and this creates this repetitive cycle of destruction. And that phone will do that. There was a research done in what, 2017, 2018, and I brought it to the attention where it showed that for girls, I want to say 15 and under, Instagram posed a significant mental health threat. Now, nothing was ever done about it. Why? Because until it falls at our doorstep, we have no collective true empathetic connectivity in a way that we sit up and say this shouldn't be happening at a level that we take action. We'll say it shouldn't be happening. We'll say that something's wrong. We'll say that, hey, I don't like the way this feels. We'll call it what it is, but we will not step up, step out, and move into action to say this is unacceptable at a level that it requires my attention. It requires a commitment. It requires a way to mitigate what's happening. We're never going to sit up and have a world where there are no negative or violent actions associated with mental health or mental illness or depression or anxiety. And the thing that Lemonade Lexus posted that I have on the screen that says, older Black men suffer when loss of loved ones happens or medical issues arise. They can get angry and withdrawn. And we talked about this on Thursday's thing. We have very few spaces as men that we can even go into and be completely honest. We can be vulnerable about the things we feel, about what we're going through, about feelings of inadequacy, about feelings of meanness. And what you have to understand, in general, what I have discovered is the causality of suicide is a little different for men and women. The brain works different. The things that cause us discomfort on a cognitive level that moves into a neurobiological manifestation of reality is different. Women get sad and depressed. Women try to escape that depression. And when they can't see a way out of the pain that they're feeling because of this depression, the darkness is too much, they will end their lives. Men tend to end their lives in a space of helplessness as it pertains to their usefulness in the world. They tend to operate based on, I can't make something happen that I want to happen. And the pain of not being able to make that happen, whether it's provide for my family, whether it's achieve this level of success that everybody expects and that I expect for myself, whether it's I can't keep this woman, I can't make her stay with me, and on down the line, we tend to go along with where we are in this world and the impact we have or don't have. And that comes from how our brains function. We flow from front to back. Women tend to flow from right to left, and it leads to these two different types of processing, but ultimately the same result. And when you see an older man, it's going to be one of those issues. Um, if it's because of a loss of a loved one, that loved one had a significant role in their life, and their life stops having meaning in their perception and how they are processing that loss and going through that grief, and it becomes overwhelming. And if not interrupted in some way, what we call intervention, it could likely lead to self-harm. Medical issues, again, when you get medical issues, it's a sense of helplessness. It's a sense of not being useful or not being able to function in a way that they consider to be manly and masculine and virile. And it can be um, life threatening, it can be neurological, it could be sexual, but it can lead to that. And what men do typically when things aren't going our way is we draw back, and we draw back primarily because it's not just a male thing, it's a cultural thing. We've been conditioned to believe that we don't have a right to say we're not all right. We don't have a right to say I'm not good, I'm not okay. There's this expectation. You're a man, you're supposed to have it all together. You're supposed to have, and anything that falls out of that place, we don't feel comfortable sharing it because we're being judged based on certain things that everyone considers to be successful and everything like that. And yes, we should have standards. We should have expectations. We should have a sense of where we want to be with. We also should give ourselves permission to be human, give ourselves permission to feel, give ourselves permission to hurt, give ourselves permission to cry. But we don't have that space because we will be easily labeled as highly emotional, whining, crying men. And I can't stand a whining, crying man, but I need a man to be honest with himself, because the more you lie to yourself, the more dysfunctional you come in that lie without ever realizing what it's doing to you. And I just, I look at this and it hits me because it's my passion. It's not an anomaly, first of all, and it's not a one-off, and I don't have to know the person personally to feel the pain, because I know what it means to families. I know what it means to our community. I know what it means to our culture. I know what it means to our progress. It is a problem, and we aren't facing the problem. We aren't confronting the problem. We are in many ways ignoring it. We are marginalizing it, and we are moving around it because it's an uncomfortable topic. We have work to do, and it's going to come when we decide that enough is enough, that enough of our daughters are dying because men can't mentally master their emotions and the grief and the pain of loss. It will be enough when we realize that we're losing our men either to death or to prison because they cannot master the reactions associated with emotions they cannot explain, because they've been told they're not allowed to feel. But when she leaves, they feel, and that feeling is a feeling of helplessness because they have no control in making her stay. And that's just one situation. Um, I'm not speaking on the Roy Jones situation because I don't know him. I know of him through a family member, but I don't know him, and I don't know his son, and I don't know the situation. But I do know that if someone takes their life, they come to a point where they feel there are no other options. And you have to just sort of sit back and kind of reason with that. What is going on at a level, and how does that feel? Because, one thing, we tend to want to judge people who commit suicide. We want to talk about them being weak. And the finality of that, and where you have to be to sit up and say, this is no other option, and to make that choice. I'm not in a way of judging anybody. I'm trying to be the best version of myself so that I can be an influence to others. And I've been in some pretty dark places. Like I said, at my highest height was probably one of my darkest moments. And I've been through a few since, and I know that feeling. I've never had any thoughts of taking my life, but I've had those thoughts of just throwing in the towel and giving up, not knowing what that ultimately meant, but just I'm tired. Um, and to know somebody can feel worse than I felt bothers me. And we're sitting around and we are pretending as if nothing's wrong. We're losing our babies. Our sons are killing our daughters. Our sons are killing each other. And nobody is going to come to the rescue. Nobody's going to swoop in and say, let us fix that for you. We are going to have to get to a point to where we make up in our minds that enough is enough, that we are going to do something about what we are experiencing in this world. And it definitely transcends this part of the crisis, because there's an identity crisis along with the mental health crisis. There's a socioeconomic crisis along with that. And we've got to be able to confront all of these. But I promise you, if we don't deal with our mental health, we're going to totally implode as a people. And so I'm challenging you, get involved, learn about what's going on, read some material, find organizations to support, get involved. Every life matters. Every life has a purpose and a place in the grand scheme of any social ecosystem. And when you lose that precious life, you lose momentum, you lose functionality, you lose power. And we have to start seeing it in that scope. We have to get out of this individualized mindset that, well, as long as I'm good, because I promise you, it's going to be on your doorstep at some point. It's just the reality of what's happening right now. And it could show up in a number of different ways. Maybe nobody is having a mental health crisis in your immediate family. But what happens when someone who is having a mental health crisis meets someone in your immediate family? This thing has a way of coming full circle, and it's our responsibility to do something about it. I'm going to challenge everybody that watches this to step up and make a commitment to be engaged and involved in some way in making a difference in the lives of this next generation and to assist those who are with us now. And I am again so grateful to the Sunrise Project for giving us a platform where we can close the doors and bring men in and create a judgment-free environment where we can talk about some things. And we do that. I mean, and these things run deep, and these men are open, and it's about love. It's about encouragement. It's about, hey, you're not alone. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I'm gonna share this one last thing. She says, my daddy started trying to socialize with employees at stores. It was those people were disrespectful to him. People are selfish and forget it can be you hurting and lost. That's another way that we can be uh, directly involved in helping, is to think about people outside of yourself. Be kind. You never know what anyone is going through, and you don't know what pushing them beyond that threshold means. And it doesn't hurt to be kind. It doesn't hurt to be patient. It doesn't hurt to be understanding. And we live in a world that increasingly doesn't care, that has become increasingly individualized in how they move. And we are losing because of it. Uh, whether male or female, if you're going through something, find someone to reach out to, find someone to share with. Don't hold on to it. There's no honor in internalizing your pain. There's no honor in holding back and pretending. There's no honor in rolling with a narrative that you know isn't true. It's okay to say, I'm not good. Uh, be aware of your family and your friends and your loved ones. Don't be so easily to take the I'm good as gold. When a person says I'm good, we tend to just roll with it because it lets us off the hook of having to actually deal with something. You know a person, you can tell when they're not quite there. Don't take the I'm good as gold. Don't take it as final. Dig a little bit deeper. Ask, hey, look. Then just tell them, look, man, look, I'm going to check on you again later today. I'm going to check on you tomorrow. Girl, I know that you say you're okay, but I'm coming over to check on you. And I'll tell my kids, look, I need to put eyes on you. I'll tell my friends, hey, I ain't seen you in a minute. I need to put eyes on you. Where you at? And it's important that we do that. We've got to develop, we've got to get back into embracing our humanity. We've become so mechanical and disconnected that we are literally in the midst of a crisis and are oblivious to it. And that's not acceptable. So that's my challenge. It's time to get involved. It's time to get engaged. It's time to stand up and take action. On that note, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I want to thank you for letting me borrow your time. You guys have a productive day and wish me the best because I'm going to be engaging this on a number of different sectors over the course of the day and the rest of the week. So it's what I do. On that note, I'm out here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.